Hey everybody, greetings from Chromio the Cybertruck. I just went back inside and ran into the man, the myth, the legend, soon to be Reverend Del Bigtree,
I
everybody.
avoided that a long time ago. My dad's minister. I was the oldest. I think I was supposed to be the reverend. I mean, certainly it rubbed off on me, but I like talking about health and politics. So,
And I mean,
you know,
I met you for the first time and had the great pleasure last year at the INC to listen to your speech. And it was 20 minutes, and it was so powerful and so inspirational about, if I could, like the thesis that I derived from it was moments are going to arise in your life, and grab it and take it and run with it if it feels right.
yeah,
And also, like, we are here, and I like what you were saying about I am too,
yeah,
and like the notion of divinity and God, and treating
yeah,
ourselves well as well. So
yeah. I just gave a talk. I think you were just walking up. I just gave a 15-minute talk just now. It was interesting because I reflected. I started this talk because I again didn't know what to say here. I mean, it's an interesting moment to be here at the
right,
Independent National Convention. Robert Kennedy Jr. was supposed to be here. I've been organizing that the whole time, and then of course he's suspended his campaign. And I think that there's a lot of people very excited, some very confused. So to step into that energy here and just hold the space. And it's funny, I probably should have gone back and listened to that first speech, but it sounds like I think I said just about the same thing by nature anyway.
well, it's a
But
great talk.
I started the talk by saying, a year ago I was here, and ironically I didn't know anything about the Independent National Convention. um I had been in meetings with Bobby Kennedy for several months at that point. It was April, so talking about the possibility of him running for president. And I only got to meet Christopher Life because I think Tulsi Gabbard was a guest at a VIP. Someone invited me. I wanted to meet her. I met Christopher Life. He's like, why don't you, after talking, he's like, why don't you get on my media panel? I came. There was a INC 23, I guess. I did the media panel, and then the next day he called me. He's like, I have a feeling you should close out this convention. And I was like, well, that's an interesting thought. Now, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, if that's what you want, I'll, I'll do that. And I was sitting backstage, trying to think, what am I going to say about independence? I mean, I'm an independent spirit. I know I'm talking to Bobby, and right then it pops up on my phone like an article probably sent by someone on our team, but just said Robert Kennedy Jr. just officially became the Democratic nominee for president of the United States. While I was at the convention, 4 minutes away, I'm about to speak about independence, and suddenly I'm now officially a part of a Democratic, you know, and so I'm like, geez, that's kind of weird. And then I'm backstage, and they play the movie, like the final movie from INC, and the whole movie is very dramatically saying we got to abolish the Democratic Party, we got to abolish the Republican Party.
We're calling for a national strike.
Like, am I a fraud? Like, am I about to step out and like sell independence when I'm going to go with clearly run in a Democrat? So
try and take back the Democratic
so when you
Party.
say like what I stepped into, I suppose ironically it was similar to here. Is I totally believe in the independent message, as many people want to call it a movement. But what I said here today is independence is a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it is just as prone to falling in the same trappings of any religion, where you show up on Sundays and think that somehow you're going to heaven, but you're an asshole the rest of the week. It has all of the, well, I'm not the Democrats and I'm not the Republicans, so then what are you? So you're shackled by a set of, religious ideologies, but you don't, what are you representing on a daily basis? And I think we really have to understand right now, and I talked a little bit about Bobby, but we're fighting for free speech here, and our founding fathers, signed their name to the Declaration of Independence and said, you know where I live. Here's where I am. I so believe in my right to speak my mind and to speak my truth that I'm willing to tell you who I am. Come and get me.
Mm-hmm.
Come and get me. See, come and get, as they say down in Texas. And how many people at this convention? I challenged them. How many of you here are living every day practicing free speech. Because we can sit here and be worried that it's, it's under attack by the current administration, but if it's atrophied inside of you, you're killing it too.
Absolutely. And people are kind of hesitant to, to use their voice, and they want certainty too. And but that just isn't, like, that's antithetical, because there's so much vulnerability required. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, can we trust Trump to be like, no, we have to actually just, like, step into vulnerability. And Bobby, I feel like, he initially declared his intention to be the Democratic nominee.
Yep.
And I feel like he took every step right towards trying to do that.
Yeah.
And then it was clear, like, it was not going to be a fair game. I mean, we went to the bylaw meeting in Washington, D.C., and I gave out to each of the committee members his written letter to them all. And then they ended up punting their decision, but it was really clear, like, these guys were not going to play. And on the other side of the event was the FRC, the Family Research Council, was having their annual gathering, and they had Trump speaking, they had Mike Pence speaking, Vivek speaking, DeSantis speaking. And I was talking to the organizer, like, we would love to have Bobby here. So, like, the tent, and especially from, like, the religious sect of the Republican Party, they were, like, so stoked on Bobby's message. And then he declares independence, and then we run this whole independent campaign. And now, like, what happened?
Well, I mean, I think what happened is, and as I just said very quickly in there, a true independent spirit is not, shackled and imprisoned by a label of yourself. A true independent spirit is looking at the moment that you're in and saying, what's on the table? What is the crisis? How can I fix it? And Robert Kennedy Jr. came to that moment through, I mean, we I think there's, just like when he ran as a Democrat, there was serious milestones that you're like, this is just getting harder and harder. The fact that they wouldn't let him on the debate stage, where I think he could have honestly, in all honesty, and we did a great job doing the real debate.
Great job with the real. That was amazing.
I'm really proud of that.
Awesome.
I gotta say, that was the first moment in this campaign that I saw a path for Bobby.
Yeah.
I liked him a whole bunch, and I said, but I don't know how you're gonna do it. And then I saw the social media response to it and how he handled it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, in my producer, head, I think I'm more proud of that, the production of that and what that took, and the wild animal that was to try and harness and
we were in downtown,
make it smooth and make it work. And it's one of those things that I felt very blessed. God brought it together.
Oh yeah,
and it was great. And those that were watching knew who won that debate. And had that been the national broadcast, is my point, I think Bobby Kennedy would have woke up the next morning in first place.
Right.
He's that capable. And as I said here, it's unfortunate that Robert Kennedy Jr. is not going to be president of the United States as an independent during this current election, because he is everything you would ever dream in a leader. He is brilliant. He has a historical knowledge that is not to be matched by anyone. He's compassionate. He's bold. But I think the most important aspect, and the one that is the most awe-inspiring to be around, is his humility. His connection to never letting his ego, make a decision for him.
And how he carried that into the unification message. He wasn't going to play team sports and say, well, you're on the other team, so I'm going to go against you.
He never like punched down on people.
He never beat up on people. He ran a clean campaign I think that he should be very proud. He stuck to everything he said he was going to do. I'm going to speak the truth. The people are ready for it. I'm not going to run a negative campaign against anyone. And I think because of that, look at the opportunity that did come forward.
Absolutely.
And MAHA, make America healthy again.
Make America heroic again.
I mean, and to sort of sum it up, you want to talk about the greatest independent spirit representing independence right here. How about a man who's born a Kennedy, who, it's the royal family of the Democratic Party, who puts all of that on the line. The Democratic Party, a family legacy. His family are attached to that legacy. His own kids, he's got to face them. He had to face, you know, the 100,000 volunteers that work day and night in cold and sleet and heat to get him on the ballot, his wife that stood with him. I mean, just think about all the trappings of the things that would make you just say, I just can't make a different decision here. And I watched, I feel so blessed to have spent, you know, really about 4 weeks with him, just grappling, literally watching the weight of the world, tearing him apart, trying to find what was right. But independence is someone that can say, I don't care what you think my label is. I don't care what you think my name is. I don't care what you think I owe you. I don't care who you think I am in your family. What I'm about to do is finish my mission to save the children of this country. To, you know, and people are saying, oh, he, you know, here they're like, it's just unfortunate that he didn't see this through to the end. I was like, you don't know Robert Kennedy Jr. then. You are looking at the end of a 1-year independent run.
Right.
He's looking at the end of a 40-year gift to this planet, trying to end the toxic pollution and takeover of corporations of our government. And he's still on track for one of the greatest victories of all time, and that's why I'm so proud to be working with MAHA.
I feel like this is like the best. This is kind of the best case scenario, because even had we succeeded in getting him winning, despite everything, overcoming all like those potential obstacles, had we won, it would have been like, you know, he would have been
distracted,
a hot girl in a dude-filled nightclub. Like, it would be,
and have been hard to focus on. He would have had all of these different areas he needed to focus on. I mean, in all honesty, right now, watch him. I mean, now that he's made this choice, he is on fire. His interviews are amazing.
We couldn't
he's
get
walking into crowds of 20,000 people, and they're chanting Bobby.
In the campaign, we couldn't get an arena. It was too difficult. Like, there's so much logistically.
We couldn't afford an arena.
We couldn't afford an arena. We
were limited. Donald Trump's getting $1 million donation. Biden's getting $1 million donation, and we're stuck legally. All we can take is a $6,600 donation. It was just so hard. And look,
the game is stacked.
I mean, dude, under those circumstances, we put the guy in third place. He was polling mid 20% at the height of, you know, in the middle of censorship. So, I mean, there's just a lot to be proud of.
And now his message, like in these arenas, and bringing to this whole MAGA movement, the Trump movement, he's not only in his wheelhouse, but he's also raising the vibration. He's raising the level of discourse and debate within this large community. So, you know, it's getting stronger. And now, like, you know, assuming we're successful in this, you know, 48-day mission towards the election of getting you know, Trump and Kennedy into the White House, you know, then it becomes
and Vance and Tulsi
and Vance and Tulsi
and Elon.
Exactly.
That's what I love about this, right? I mean,
and Dell.
Let's go. Maybe we'll see. I'm there. If I'm needed, I'm there. But I mean, it's really watching a unity government being put together right now. I love watching. You see Donald Trump in that debate. I'm not going to call anyone names. You see him making an effort. It's not in his comfort zone, but you can tell he's surrounded by people that are saying, let's lift this up, man. You're doing something amazing here. So he's trying to find what those shoes fit like.
So where did MAHA come from?
It came, I mean, really, it was in the speech when you know, Bobby suspended his campaign. You know, it was everything was happening so, you know, quickly. Just that Monday, he had finally decided I'm gonna take this direction. I was in Hyannisport with his family, with, you know, some very close advisors, and we weighed every opportunity. I gave a very impassioned speech why he shouldn't join Donald Trump and the spiritual thing and everything. I have to admit it.
I sent him a video too.
People, you know, and people like his, you know, a lot of people that were in the campaign, you know, when announced we got on a. You know, I saw the comments like, I should have been in that meeting. And I just really want to say, you were in that meeting. I was in that meeting. I know what your message was. I know what the spiritual message was. But the truth was really just a room full of brilliant minds, all bringing really different perspectives. But in the end, we had, you know, virtually a unanimous decision, I would say, that this is the right move for you. You're making the right decision. And, you know, so that announcement, when he made that speech, you know, I had some lines I threw in there. Charles Eisenstein, you know, has been such a great speechwriter for Bobby. But, you know, I had the room already in the morning. And, you know, what really kind of pisses you off a little bit, like every news camera there was. Every news camera that never put you on television for the last 16 months, suddenly they're there for you to step down. It's a little bittersweet. But I was waiting for him. He was about 20 minutes away to the hotel, and like it's 20 minutes out. I was like, "How you guys doing?" And they're like, "He's still writing his speech. Like, it looked pretty good last night, And so, and then it's 10 minutes after. Like, where is he? He's still writing his speech. And finally, like 15 minutes after, which means he ended up being like 45 minutes late. Never got to rehearse it.
Already learning from Trump.
Never practiced with the teleprompter, and went up. And I think there's a lot of people talked about online, and if you haven't watched that speech, arguably one of the greatest political speeches ever given.
Absolutely.
I think when it
CNN
comes to,
aired like half of it too.
I think when it comes to like a heartfelt, sensitive, honest, human, like I think the humanness in that speech has never been matched, not even by his father or his uncle. And they've given great orations, but there was a rawness to that speech that is like nothing I've ever seen. And and
Storm was alive in that
speech.
It
was so powerful and such an important moment for America to understand why he was making that choice. But then, and I tell you, the night before, he wasn't, he was still struggling. I said, Bobby, I mean, you don't have to do this. If you get second thoughts until you step in front of that camera, and follow your guidance here, but if you do it, be all in, because every side is going to tear you apart now everyone will feel abandoned. There's only 10 of us that were in the room that know why you're here. So
and for some people,
I mean, boy, did he deliver. And the point I want to make is, we all, a bunch of speechwriters, what he did. I saw the version before the 45 minutes where he was running late. What he did in that speech, it wasn't even the same speech. I mean, what he added and what he delivered, you got to see like what was on his mind in that moment.
His words.
So powerful. And then to get to leave, do that, the campaign, a lot of emotions around it. I was in tears. And then to, a couple hours later, go to an auditorium with 20,000 people in it. Watched him, was with him when he met Donald Trump backstage, and I remember standing with his son, Bobby, in the audience, and his place is packed. And I was like, has your dad ever spoken to an audience like this? He's like, a couple times, probably this many people, but not this audience, and we didn't know. We didn't know what the response was going to be. We knew, it's all Republicans. No one knows he's here. I mean, no one prepped him for this. He doesn't have his people here. And the moment Donald Trump said his name, 20,000 people leaped to their feet, roaring. I mean, roaring, and USA, and then it was
pyrotechnics,
Bobby,
and
fireworks falling down, and
my hero playing too, and the perfectly timed, oh my gosh, it was so epic.
I'll never forget that moment. I mean, what a day. I mean, it was probably, I'll chalk that up to, the birth of my kids is one of those perfect days. I mean, every emotion. We're stepping down. He just delivered the most impassioned thing. I got tears. I won, but I lost, and I didn't pull it off for him, and the campaign hasn't made it. Then you go, and you're like, finally, someone giving this guy the appreciation and respect he deserves. And it's been like that ever since. Every audience, everywhere he goes, there's a real movement now. He's reaching millions and millions of people with the message he's been sharing his whole life. So, God is good.
And then MAHA came out of it too.
Oh, that was it. That's what you're asking me. He said in the speech, somehow he wrote in there, "Make America Healthy." 2 lines from that speech that I think will live, forever, which was, make America healthy again. It was an adjustment to the MAGA thing that was exactly what he needed. How's he going to step into that? Is he going to have to wear the red hat? And in that moment, I just saw you just created your own space in here. You just created a new branding, a softer branding, a deeper branding. Nothing against MAGA, but it was an evolution. And in that moment, evolution took place. And then when he said, we have to love our children more than we hate each other. It's
Yeah, and now like the whole discussion is rising up. I'm hoping like I don't know what kind of like because of that last debate I was watching Trump and it's like he didn't look particularly healthy. And I know Bobby is like he's
I
so
thought
healthy.
the opposite actually.
Oh yeah,
I thought this guy lives on McDonald's. He looks great
for
his age.
Yeah,
but I mean whatever. But anyway, but yeah, I think
like micro actions.
I mean, look, I got to get running, but
Okay.
let's hit the debate for a second. You know, there's a lot of things. Someone just really laid on something really a powerful thought that I want to sort of give voice to. You know, she said Robert Kennedy Jr. has faced his shadow.
Mm-hmm.
He has, you know, he has lived in it, and then he has risen above his shadow. And in the, you know, whether you're going to be, you know, a prosecutor, you know, a savior or a victim, you know, he's gone through all those processes. And Donald Trump is, you know, still sort of that prosecutor that hasn't really probably fully addressed his shadow. As Robert Kennedy Jr., I'm living in my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bobby really brings this elevated consciousness to this experience. And I would think Donald, no, Donald Trump may watch this, and I don't want this to sound wrong, but I think even he sees around him the Tulsi Gabbards and Bobby Kennedy that I have another space to go. But what you watched in that debate is you watched actually Donald Trump try to stand in something that he has never before done, which is I'm actually not going to attack this person.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be
like,
the prosecutor. I'm going to sit here and let's be honest. You watched a man for the first time attempt to roll it back. Let me try to listen. Let me try to, you know, be that more civil human being. Stick to the facts. Was it eloquent? Did he nail it? I mean, it was his first time on roller skates. You know what I mean?
There's always room for improvement.
There's
right?
always room for
There's
improvement.
always room for improvement.
But I want to say this, and I think that that's a really important point. You got to recognize him for a huge jump, because it would have been very easy at any moment to just go back into Lion Kamala and you know, like and just drop into his shtick, which is that's his persona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's worked for him to stand in that very vulnerable place and not jump into what's easy for him, I think is really profound. And I also want to say this about that debate. Hit me like my personal thoughts 2 days after it. I was like, you know what? He stepped into a situation that has never, as far as I know, no presidential candidate in the history of this nation has had to step into the situation he just did, which is this: a presidential debate between your only other opponent, and you don't know anything about them. Literally zero. They don't even have a policy on their website. You don't know what they stand for. You has done zero interviews.
Yeah.
You haven't seen what they plan on running on, how they're going to defend it, and didn't go through any primary process that involved voting where you watch other candidates challenge that perspective and see how they were going to defend it, so that you had, I mean, I coached Bobby. It's part of what I do. I wouldn't even know how you would have coached him.
Yeah.
What are you going into the room to debate? We have never seen a candidate step into with full blindfold, with your hands tied behind your back, and then you imagine standing there and hearing Kamala say something like, "No, I'm for assault weapons. In fact, I own a gun myself." You imagine just like, what? I mean, what? Oh, I'm pro fracking. And then you're like, can someone recognize that she's never said that before? And instead of helping, the two people asking questions start attacking you.
Yeah.
And fact checking, you know, and falsely fact checking.
Falsely fact checking
everything.
you.
So, I mean, you want to talk about the most outrageous circumstance anyone's been put in, you know, it's never happened. This person saying things that you expected would have been the exact opposite. And days later is rolling it back, and you can show videos that none of, you know, she didn't get fact check on, that she's made opposite statements. Then she's attacking you, calling you names, saying you're the end of the world as we know it, and, you know, playing basically the role you usually play. And you're standing there. I mean,
that was it. Her whole strategy, like they had all queued up. It was just going to attack on all these things from the past, and there's very little substantive discussion.
No,
And that's
no,
where it's like, you know,
yeah,
had
no
Bobby
detail.
been on that stage,
Oh my God.
melted.
It would have been over. But just to wrap it all up, there's hope. And here's why there's hope. I think that many of us walked away. I just thought, oh, you know, I'm not so sure. I think a lot of people would say, oh, I think Donald Trump lost that debate. But you know what's interesting is that, and I didn't really, again, there's been a few things along this that really surprised me. Yeah, I knew the Democrats would love how Kamala handled it. I knew there were, you know, no one that loves Trump is leaving Trump. But that undecided group, we underestimate who they are right now because I think they're saying, I don't know if I trust either of you. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. And for all the attack and all that went on there and the teaming up on Donald Trump, when you started watching the polls, those undecided are saying, you know, it looked like he got ganged up on. I got no information from her whatsoever. Probably would have liked a little more detail from Donald Trump, but he is referencing a past I remember. And so I don't think the debate certainly wasn't a disaster. And these people, which is what MAHA is all about right now, I think that's those Robert Kennedy intelligent voters that are saying, is Donald Trump really going to follow through? Is he really, is this for real? Am I really, because he scares me on other decisions he's made and things he said. And that's why I left the campaign. I have seen, you know, the moments backstage with Donald Trump. I've certainly sat right outside the room when the big meetings were happening with Bobby and Amaryllis and Donald and his people. And there's another Donald Trump there. There's a man that's building a unity government, a man that is very human for sure, but at a time where we have AI attacking us and lies and deceit and pharma and media manipulations, you kind of want just a human being there.
Absolutely. And I mean, politics is like a talent show too.
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels like the talent surrounding Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, and this, you know, this underneath the Republican banner, but it's really, it feels like it's more of a, this is a we the people.
The Republican Party doesn't want Donald Trump either.
No, and we've
just
seen,
like the way the Democrats don't want Bobby, the Republicans don't want Donald Trump, and none of them want Tulsi Gabbard. They don't. This is the most dangerous team that has ever been established to establishment politics.
And the rhinos and the neocons are running.
Right, they're running.
And Kamala's celebrating Dick
Cheney.
Like, come on.
That was my argument with a family member. Like, even Dick Cheney's leaving, you know, Donald Trump to go to Kamala Harris. Like, that's exactly my effing point. Exactly. All right, I got to run.
All right, Del.
We're keeping up, man.
Brother.
We'll see you on the other side. All right.
Appreciate you.
Hey, everybody, get out and vote. But more importantly, do your research, follow your heart, listen to everybody. Ask yourself who's answering the questions. What am I being presented with? What are the opportunities here? How dangerous is the moment we find ourselves in the United States of America? If you feel there are real threats, what are those threats? And who do you think is actually going to do something about it? Only you can decide that for yourself. But if you come to the same conclusion that I have and Robert Kennedy Jr. has, and it seems like Kyle and Damien, you have, help get the word out. This is a really actually powerful moment where people are coming together from all sides to make a difference. And it really is about our kids. We've got to love our children more than we hate each other.
And take care of ourselves.
MAHA.
MAHA.
Right.
MAHA. Let's go.
All right.
All right. Love you, Del.
Love you too.
Appreciate you, brother. Del Bigtree, everybody. One of the most incredible people I ever had the pleasure to meet and jam. And it was so nice that he just came in and dropped in. All right. Let's go back to the INC. Any thoughts, Damo?
No, not really. I mean, he's great. It was really nice to sit and just hear him speak from the heart. He brings the vibe that I was hoping to see from other members of Kennedy's campaign.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that was another Cybertruck miracle. Thank you, Chromeo.
There you go.
All right. Bye, everybody. MAHA.